So, this morning, I'm sure we all have a lot of feelings going on. I'm going to invite you to do some movements. You can pick and choose as always. Really try to support yourself, take care of yourself so that you can show up to the best of your ability. And this is what we need to do on the mat, and this is what we need to do out in life. Start by stepping your feet out a little bit and rocking back and forth between feet. So you might just move your weight, but you might actually lift that foot that's not bearing any weight and let your body just kind of rock back and forth. You can start to let your knees get soft, maybe add a little bit of bounce to it. You might take some really deep breaths as you're doing this. Maybe inhaling through your nose and then just taking a big whoosh to let it out through your mouth. We're going to think about moving some energy here. This morning was very cold, but very beautiful outside my house. And I had a gorgeous sunrise to look at. And one of the things that I think is really nice about nature is that it can inspire awe in us. And those really vivid pinks and oranges this morning did that for me. And when we experience awe, it's proven to stimulate our brains in a way that kind of tunes us away from the default mode network where we tend to ruminate and think about ourselves a lot, think about our problems. And it connects us more to a place where we can connect, feel connected, feel like we're a part of something bigger, and feel more socially connected, which is really important in times like this. So take your time slowing that down. Coming back to center. Finding mountain pose as you're ready. Maybe close your eyes for a moment if that feels right to you. And if it doesn't, skip that part. Begin to slow your breath, maybe breathing through your nose if possible. Feel your feet on the floor. Maybe lift all your toes and spread them, and then drop them down, keeping them spread out as much as they want to spread out. Which, if you're like me and you cram your feet into shoes and they turn into these little tight little potatoes, maybe that's not much. But whatever is there. And can you focus on fully expelling the air out of your lungs each time you breathe? Breathing in deeply and then letting all of it out. So you have a fresh start each time, fresh new oxygen. A new supply. So deep inhales, full exhales, each time filling up again, supporting yourself. And this is what kind of happens in life. We have these breath cycles that keep us alive. Air comes in, air goes out, oxygen is replenished and depleted. And can we kind of think about that in terms of the way that the world works? I was thinking about trees the other day, really trying to make sense of what's happening in the world right now and thinking about trees and how trees each spring grow new leaves. Those little buds pop up, they open up, turn into leaves. They're just like alive. And then they turn into these bright, vivid colors every fall. And then they wither and drop off the tree. And the tree looks like it's dead and it looks like, oh no. But really, what's happening during the winter, it's cold, things seem stagnant, but the roots growing underground, the tree is replenishing in the spring. It all happens again. And probably in the larger picture, this is what happens over and over again, all these cycles, which sometimes we don't see the overall picture, but the tree is growing bigger every year, changing, living, going through cycles. And maybe that's what's happening right now in this country. So take a really, really deep inhale. Maybe sweep your arms up, open your eyes, maybe tilt your head up. And when you exhale, let it all out, drop your arms, maybe even bend your knees. And try that again. So sweeping your arms up, big inhale, taking up some space, and then letting it all out. Do that a few more times. Do it at your own pace. Do it in the way that feels right to you. And again, every time you take in all that new air with that new supply of oxygen, think about replenishing yourself, supporting yourself. And every time you let it out, think about just letting go of something. Think about maybe letting something good into the world, or if there's something bad that has to get out of you, just like let it go into the ground. The next time you inhale, you can continue to breathe, but pause at the top for a moment. Excuse me, for a moment, and stretch one arm up a little bit more. Get a side stretch. You might move your feet as you're doing this, maybe shifting your weight back and forth. And then stretch the other arm up a little more. A side stretch on the other side. Really think about taking up space here. Come back to center. And when you're ready, fold forward. And you can keep a wide stance if you want for your forward fold. You can have soft knees, but come into your version of a forward fold. And that might be with a flat back, knees supporting your forearms. It might be with your arms down, hanging down, dangling, or maybe you take hold of your opposite elbow. And maybe find some back and forth movement as you're in your forward fold. So bending and straightening, alternate knees. If you're moving back and forth, come back to center and drop your hands to the floor. Really spread your fingers out and kind of claw your fingers into the floor. And you might press a little through your hands. So maybe your body moves up and down a little. So pressing a little, relaxing. And then drop your body down and roll it up slowly, starting from your tailbone, tucking it under. And if rolling your body up doesn't work for you, come up with a flat back, but take your time coming up. And when you get to the top, sweep your arms up, reach all the way up, stretch a little more through one side, and then through the other side. And come back to center. Come into a 5-pointed star. So step your legs out wide, stretch out through your fingertips, stretch out through your legs, through your feet. Take some big, big breaths. Next time you inhale, sweep your arms all the way up. Ground through your feet, hinge at your hips, and fold forward again. Hands can come down to the floor or blocks. You can come halfway down or you can come all the way down. Once you're in your forward fold, if you are folding all the way forward, you might just shake your head yes and no a few times to make sure that your neck is relaxing. Just gently. Notice if you can feel a stretch here. If they're not already there, bring your hands to the floor, widen your fingers out, spread them out, lift yourself halfway up. And you could be using blocks too. You might have your blocks there where you can place your hands on them. Bend a little bit through one knee and then a little bit through the other knee. Try this a few times, just shifting back and forth to the degree that you are finding not too much sensation, but you can feel something. And that might just mean that you feel your body working. It might mean that you really tune into your feet. Your feet are pressing into the ground, supporting you. Your legs, these stable bases, this together stable base. And you might be moving in kind of a rhythmic way. So maybe a steady pace back and forth. When you're ready, come back to center and lift yourself up. Sweep your arms up. Really reach up. Maybe look up. And then think about bringing in and clearing out, bringing in good things, clearing out things you don't need. And as you bend your knees, lean forward, scoop something up that really supports you, bring it in. And as you come up, toss out something you don't need. Try that again. Bringing in something supportive, filling yourself up, and then letting go of something. And you might be really bending forward a lot. You might be just bending forward a little, leaning forward a little. You can make this as big or as small a movement as you like. You might be breathing with your movements, maybe inhaling as you take that thing in and exhaling as you let something go. Next time you find yourself standing up, come back to center. Really feel your feet on the ground. Maybe press your palms together for a moment and feel the contact of your feet and the floor, your hands pressing together. Try sensing what is inside of your chest. Like maybe that's your breath. Maybe it's your heart beating. It might be something very tangible. And maybe it's just a sense of what you're feeling emotionally. Sometimes we have a sense of constriction or tightness. Sometimes a sense of openness, relaxation. Just notice what is there. And then take a deep, deep breath. Notice your chest expanding. And as you let it out, notice your chest contracting a little. And then can you sense, bring your awareness outward and sense the perimeter of your body. Everywhere you feel air coming in contact with your skin. Maybe close your eyes and sense the rest of the room. Like, what's the vibe in the room? Is there anyone else in there with you? Is it quiet? Are there sounds? And then notice the air on your skin again. If your eyes are closed, open them up. Release your hands and step your feet together. Bring yourself to the front of your mat. So facing the short edge of your mat. Come into mountain pose. As you're ready, sweep your arms up. Hinge from your hips, fold forward. If you're folded all the way forward, come halfway up. Hands can be at the floor. They might come to your shins. Think about flattening your back, reaching upward through your head and backwards through your bum. And then fold forward again. Come all the way up. Reach your arms up. And then either bring them forward or into Anjali Mudra as you sit your hips back into chair. Find a chair pose that works for you. So maybe you're reaching your arms forward. Maybe you're reaching them up. Maybe you bring hands to hips or hands in Anjali Mudra, palms pressing together. And notice the work that it takes to hold you here. When you're ready, fold forward. Lift yourself up, reach your arms all the way up. Or you could press your palms together when you're up, making sure you're not dizzy, and then reach your arms up. But once you're reaching up, reach up a little more through one set of fingertips and then through the other. And then come back to center. Press your palms together, bring them down to heart center. Walk yourself back a little so you're in the middle of your mat. And from here, we're going to do some balancing stuff. So if you want to have a support next to you where you can place a hand, you might scooch over to a wall or a piece of furniture. When you're ready, bring your weight into your left foot and lift your right knee to the extent that your right knee wants to come up. Hands can be anywhere. You might, if you don't have both hands holding onto something, if you have a free hand or two, you might expand your arms out to take up some space, maybe moving them around for balance. And as you're ready, extend your leg to the degree that it wants to extend. And bend that knee. Begin hinging forward and pressing that leg behind you to any degree. So you might be pretty upright. You might come down into a lower position. Maybe your knees are bent. Maybe they're both straight. Maybe one is bent and the other is straight. And then tip yourself back up. Place both feet down. Notice how that went for you. And when you're ready, try it on the other side. So grounding down through your right leg, lifting your left knee up to whatever degree it wants to come up. deciding what to do with your arms, maybe extending that leg out to whatever degree, noticing if it's different on this side, and then kicking that leg back. However, you want to make this movement work for you, make it your own. Maybe you hinge forward. And then lift yourself back up. Drop everything down. Seaweed things around. Shake things around. Do what feels right here. You might hop around if that feels good. You might jump and flail if that feels good. Take your time coming back to center, and we're going to try that again. And this time, so you have the sense of this general movement of lifting one leg, maybe finding space with that leg, and then tipping and finding space behind you with that leg. I'm going to invite you to do it any way you like, and you might move between the two, just finding whatever rhythm or slow balance suits you right now. So when you're ready, go ahead and try that out. And feel free to set your foot down at any point or place a hand somewhere for balance any point. Just notice when you need support and use that support. Like lean into using whatever support you need. And that support may be, again, flailing your arms. I think sometimes taking up a lot of space can be a really supportive act. Awesome. Take your time finishing up the first side. If you're doing it all on one side, maybe you've been doing it back and forth, that's fine too. But if you haven't been exploring the second side, go ahead and explore that when you're ready. And notice how that grounded foot is becoming this kind of, your grounded foot and your hips here are become this kind of fulcrum, this kind of stable place that your body is moving back and forth, being supported by that grounded leg. You could think of that grounded leg as your anchor. Maybe you have another anchor. Maybe you have a hand at the wall, and that's another anchor. Take another few seconds checking out what's going on this side or moving between the two, whatever you're doing. Whenever you're ready to come back to center, go ahead. You can toe heel your feet out a little wider, maybe just finding what feels like a really stable position here. And find some softness in your knees. You might find a little bit of bounce here. You might start swinging your arms. And maybe try to make this feel free and rhythmic at the same time. Maybe we'll lean to one side and then the other, or maybe there's something else that you do. But these two um, kind of parameters of like swinging your arms, bouncing your knees. Maybe using your breath in conjunction with these movements so that you inhale with one movement, exhale with the other. Or maybe you inhale through a couple of the movements and exhale through a couple of them. But finding some kind of rhythm. Take your time slowing down, coming back to center. Really deliberately placing your feet where they feel supportive. And then if it feels comfortable to you, you could hook your thumbs together and place your hands. I'm not going to do this exactly, but place your hands on your chest, or it could be on your stomach, but place your hands on your body somewhere and tap one hand and then tap the other, one and then the other. And find a rhythm, whatever rhythm feels right to you. It might be very simple, might be really complex if you're a drummer. Who knows? But these are butterfly taps. We have this cross body pattern here that can be very good for us. Maybe I'll try tapping my head because I don't want to tap my microphone. You might try finding somewhere else to tap, but if your chest feels right, that's a good place. Whenever that feels complete, you can let your arms dangle and then seaweed things out a little bit. Take some deep breaths. Make your way down onto the floor in whatever way feels right. So that could be just like having a seat. It might come through forward fold, maybe downward dog, whatever feels good to you. And once you're seated on the floor, bring your legs in front of you, soles of your feet on the floor, pretty wide, your fingertips behind you, and drop your knees over to the right. And then sweep your left arm around and come into a twist. And you might stretch up as you're twisting. And if, like me, you have a wall there, you might use that for support and lean into it. When you're ready, switch to the other side, bringing your left hand down, dropping your knees to the other side, bringing your right arm around, reaching. And then move back and forth between the two at your own pace, reaching up or down or like somewhere in the middle, whatever you like, making it your own supportive movement. Take your time evening yourself out. And when you're ready, coming back to center. Once you're centered, bring the soles of your feet together and allow your knees to come out to the side. And as always, you may be sitting on a cushion or a block or something to support you here. Lift up through your chest. If it feels okay to bring your hands around your ankles, you can do that. And find some space in your spine, some space in your chest. Turn your head to the right for a moment and then to the left to the degree that that feels okay to you. Try it again on both sides. Left, then right, right, then left. Whatever direction you're going in is fine. Come back to center. And if it feels okay to fold forward, go ahead and fold forward to whatever degree. Hands can stay where they are. You might interlace your fingers, bring them around your toes. And as you're in your cobbler's pose, Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose, whatever you call it, maybe you find a little movement. Or maybe you settle into stillness. This is your choice. Which is more supportive? Can you notice your breath here? Make sure you're not holding your breath. You're not clenching or tensing around it, but allowing your body to expand every time you breathe in and letting it soften every time you breathe out. And can you breathe fully? When you're ready, come back up. If you're folded forward, you can adjust how you're sitting if you like, so that you can take a comfortable twist. So, whatever way to sit feels good to you, or you might do this lying. Take your time twisting to the right to the degree that feels good. As you're twisting, you might notice your breath. What does it feel like as you inhale? Can you focus on sitting up tall as you inhale? And as you exhale, feel into the twist. When you're ready, switch sides. When that feels complete, come back to center and make your way down onto your back if you're not already there. And you might pull your knees into your chest for a moment once you get there. That's often a nice thing to do. If it feels like a nice thing to do, go ahead and do it. And really, today, like as always, we're giving ourselves permission to feel what we're feeling and to move in ways that feel supportive. As you're ready, extend your left leg down onto the mat straight. Bring your right knee in and bring your left hand over your right knee. You might open your right arm like a wing and twist your right knee over towards the left, allowing your hip, that right hip, to lift up off the ground, possibly turning your head to look over your right arm, or maybe just keeping it neutral. Notice how your breath affects what you're feeling here. Come back to center. Pull both knees in. Extend your right leg down on your mat straight. Right hand over left knee. Left arm out to the side and twist your left knee over towards the right, maybe looking over your left arm. And if you're choosing this twist, you might notice what happens on the inhale. So for me, one of the interesting things that happens is every time I inhale, I can feel my knee kind of coming back towards center, like my body is starting to unwind a little bit. Maybe you notice that too, or maybe there's something else you notice on the inhale or on the exhale. Unwind yourself, come back to center, and take your time coming into a position that feels restful and supportive, that you can spend a couple of minutes in for Shavasana. If you want to close your eyes, you can go ahead and close them. You might pay attention to your breath, just noticing how it's just there. You don't have to force it. You're going to keep breathing. Oxygen is going to keep coming in, fresh oxygen supporting you. It's this cycle that happens automatically. And just like we trust in that cycle to keep us oxygenated and alive, maybe we can have a little trust for the cycles that happen outside of us. Maybe they're really big and hard to understand, but maybe we can have some trust in them. You can start to deepen your breath a little bit. Notice if your mind has wandered away from you. Take your time, starting to find a little bit of movement. And when you're ready, if your eyes are closed, you can open them. You can take your time transitioning out of Shavasana if you're ready, resettling yourself into another position if you like. And whenever you get to where you're going, if you're shifting positions, maybe you bring your hands into Anjali Mudra and take a moment to thank yourself for trusting in anything that you trust in, whether that's breathing, whether that's trusting in the earth to keep spinning, trusting that there will be oxygen for you to keep supporting you, anything. And then just a moment to acknowledge that the practice of yoga is so much more than twisting ourselves up into these shapes and stretching. It's an enormous practice that has a very solid foundation of philosophy and ethics, something we can lean into in difficult times. And thank you for practicing with me today.